All right, guys, welcome back and welcome to Barcelona. We saw a bit of a surprise there yesterday. Max Verstappen taking his first career win ever, and well, you got to give it, take your hat off to the young man there. He's definitely making the most of his Red Bull experience so far. On the other hand, his teammate there, Daniel Ricciardo, he looked like a winner for a long time during that race there, but had some bad luck there with that flat tire. So what we're going to be doing here today is to see if we can't redeem Daniel Ricciardo here just a little bit and maybe take the win here today at Barcelona. Obviously, we cannot count on Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg putting each other out of the race in turn 3 today, but with, I don't know, a little luck, we might be able to squeeze in ahead of those guys. Jumping right ahead to the business at hand, this is going to be our Q3 lap. As you can see, we got some slight overcast going on here. No rain yet, and hopefully we're not going to be getting it. It doesn't matter much for us. As you can see there, we are currently in P6 right here out of 10, so hopefully we're going to be able to improve on that time. I got to say, this is probably the first ever race where I've driven the Red Bull in F1 2014, and I got to say, while it's not the fastest car on the straights, it's definitely the car that handles the best in the corners. Man, this thing has some turning and traction coming out of the turns here. Anyway, out on the main straight, this is going to be our best lap off this qualifying session here. A full second down on Sebastian Vettel, who is currently on a provisional pole there, and that is good enough to put us into P4. So there you have it, guys. Sebastian Vettel starting on pole for tomorrow's race. Nico Hülkenberg, again, he's a beast in this mod. I'm not sure why. In second, they're on the grid. Lewis Hamilton is in third. We're in fourth. Daniel Ricciardo, we got, well, who's actually our teammate, but Max Verstappen in this mod is still with the Toro Rosso team. He is in P5, followed by Nico Rosberg, who just keeps underperforming just like Lewis Hamilton does. I don't know what it is with the Mercs in this particular mod. I've driven the car. It's a beast of a car to drive, but seemingly these guys, you know, the AI just not doing Lewis Hamilton or Nico Rosberg justice here. Alright, guys, here we go, getting ready to get off the grid. Lewis Hamilton on our left shoulder, Nico Hülkenberg directly ahead of us, Vettel on pole. 5 red lights going out here. Very nice start indeed, not too much wheel spin there, cranking this thing into rich mode. We're going to have a better start in Lewis Hamilton moving down the inside of him, but we're kind of being boxed in there by Hülkenberg. We might make the move going down the outside here as Vettel is almost touching wheels there with Hülkenberg going into the turn. I'm not sure what happened to Sebastian Vettel. He seemed to disappear right there. He's currently in P3 right behind Nico Hülkenberg, who seemed to follow us through the turn there, and we are leading this race already here, heading into turn 4 that is, and coming up the hill here. And seemingly, I'm not sure whether or not Hülkenberg and Vettel touched wheels there, because they are way behind us right now. At least 2 seconds. Almost losing the car here, coming out of the turn there. All right. And heading into this sort of chicane thing here, going up the hill, just touching the curb. So we're on the option tire, and this Red Bull, in my experience, seems to handle very well on the options. They're running a little wide here, coming up the hill through the right-hander. Obviously, we're running a full fuel load at this moment here. I haven't done that during practice. That's going to take some getting used to here. But we have a huge gap down to Nico Hülkenberg, who's in second. And as you can see there, Lewis Hamilton having overtaken Sebastian Vettel for third. So I would expect that Hamilton is probably going to be making short work of Hülkenberg pretty soon. And the hunt is going to be on for us. So right now, it's going to be all about taking advantage of the open air ahead of us, hopefully enabling us to build a gap down to Hamilton once he overtakes Hülkenberg. We're not going to be running in rich mode other than on the long straights here, because obviously I don't want to burn all my extra fuel here during the first stint. Skipping right ahead to lap 3 here, opening up a nice gap down to Hülkenberg, about 3.5 seconds right now. Hamilton remains in P3, and as you can see there, Max Verstappen now up into P4. I'm not sure what happened to Sebastian Vettel, but you know, the current standings here would suggest that he might have suffered some sort of damage and had to go in and make a pit stop early, because he's nowhere to be found in the top 4. And he started on pole, so supposedly he should have the pace to compete here. Skipping right ahead to lap 7, as you can see, just as we expected now, Lewis Hamilton having overtaken Hulkenberg for second, and he is currently 6 seconds down on us there. Hulkenberg just about half a second behind Hamilton. I don't expect he's going to be there for very long, and I'm starting to wonder whether or not Hamilton might be on the prime tire here for the first stint, because at this point, he is not closing the gap on us, and I would expect, as most of the AI usually do, during the first couple of laps here, once they get the first 2 or 3 laps out of their system, they really start to crank that engine into rich mode, and I really have a hard time seeing why Hamilton should be any different right here, and we're actually opening up the gap there at 6.7 seconds right now. Skipping right ahead to lap 10 here, changing to lap 11 as we come in to the pits for our first pit stop. We're going to be switching to another set of option tires here. This is a little bit of a gamble, because what I'm hoping for here is that we're going to be fast on the option tires here during the second stint, while we still have a decent amount of fuel left in the car and some excess weight to burn there. And hopefully for the final stint, which is going to be on the prime tires, we're going to have a lighter car, and hopefully we're going to be able to take advantage of the reduced weight there. But rejoining the track here in a current P3 there, Julian Palmer, who is with the Renault team there, is up into P2. He cannot have been in to make his pit stop there, but it's still interesting to see that the Renaults are actually quite competitive on this track here. And Kevin Magnussen, I think he qualified something like P7 or something like that, which is a little over what you saw in real life there. Skipping ahead to lap 12 here as we come down the second DRS straight here, heading into La Caixa. As you can see, Felipe Massa is now up into P2. He has not been in to make a pit stop yet, so I would assume he started on the prime tire. And as you can see there, Lewis Hamilton about 4 seconds down on him. That means effectively our gap to Lewis Hamilton pretty much remains the same as it was before we went in to make our first stop. Jumping right ahead to lap 16, as you can see, everybody's been in to make their pit stop now, and Hamilton is back up into P2, being followed by Max Verstappen. Nico Hulkenberg way down into P4. We have a 6.5 second gap down to Hamilton, so the status quo remains at this point here, and Max Verstappen only 2 seconds down on Hamilton. That is very impressive driving in the Toro Rosso. And mind you, I drove this car at Bahrain in this particular mod, and it's a crap car, so it's quite impressive what he's actually getting out of it. Jumping right ahead to lap 20, coming in at the end of this lap to make our second and hopefully final pit stop. Lewis Hamilton starting to close the gap on us now, and Verstappen still remaining within striking distance of Hamilton as well. Very impressive indeed. Kimi Räikkönen, the fastest man on the track at the moment. He's been banging home some fastest laps, but he's almost a lap down for some odd reason, and I'm not sure why, but he sure is driving like a bat out of hell right now. Coming in to make our second and final stop of the race here. Like I said, we're going to be switching to the prime tire for the final stint here. We're going to be doing 12 laps on those. Hopefully the car is going to be light enough for us to take advantage and not lose too much time here. What is going to be interesting to see is, I think Hamilton went into pit right behind us there, so status quo will probably remain with him, but I have a nasty feeling he's going to be out on the option tires here for the final stint, and he's going to have to do 12 laps on those. I'm not sure how that figures out, but the fact remaining is we rejoin the track in P3. Felipe Massa is in P4. Nico Hulkenberg right ahead of us in P2. He has not been in to make his second stop yet. Jumping ahead to lap 23, as you can see, we've closed the gap completely on Nico Hulkenberg. We got a heads up from the pit wall there about half a lap ago that he might be having some sort of engine issue at the moment here, and he is indeed going very slowly. So as you can see, the way we're catching up to him here down the second DRS straight, gonna have a look down the inside here. Just, yeah, bit of a cheeky move there, but making it stick. We are back into P1 there. Felipe Massa less than a second down on us, right on the exhaust there of Nico Hulkenberg. This is going to be, well, I don't suppose Hulkenberg is going to have the pace with engine trouble to catch up to us here, so it's just going to be a question of passing him. But as soon as Massa makes that overtake, I would expect him to start putting us under pressure here, because obviously this Red Bull, especially with the wings I'm running a 5 rear wing, I believe it was. It's a 4.5 or something like that as far as I recall. We are not the fastest car on the main straight, especially with the Renault engine and the wing settings we're running. Jumping right ahead to lap 25 here, as you can see, Lewis Hamilton now up into P2. Felipe Massa's been in to make his second pit stop. Max Verstappen only about 4 seconds down. Hamilton really starting to put us under pressure, but what is more impressive is that Nico Hülkenberg, even with engine trouble, remains within 6 seconds of us here. So we got the top 4 cars after 25 laps, beg your pardon, within 5-6 seconds of each other. That is very impressive indeed. And right now, Hamilton is by far the fastest man on the track. The only question remains, are we going to be able to keep him behind us here for the remaining 8 laps? As we come out here on the back straight, as you can see, Lewis Hamilton right behind us. Going to see if we can't just squeeze him out just a little bit there, but thinking the better of it. He's just coming way too fast. We'll all end up having accidents here if we just start squeezing him. And we're not going to be pulling a Rosberg here. This would have been fair racing, there's no doubt about that. But you never know what's going to happen here with the AI. And just look at the traction here coming out of turn 3. This guy is gone. Jeez. Lap 23, Lewis Hamilton is going to run away with this one, that is for sure. 14 seconds up the road here. Max Verstappen remaining within 3 seconds of us here. Very, very nice drive by the young man there in the Toro Rosso. That is not a very good car. He's definitely making the most of it here. And unable to get Daniel Ricciardo a win here at Barcelona. We're going to have to settle for second. And as you can see there you go. We end up in P2. Max Verstappen right behind us there, rounding off the podium in third. Like I said, very impressive in that dog of a car. All right, well, there you have it, guys. Lewis Hamilton taking a win here today. We finished second. Max Verstappen, obviously, like I said, rounding off the podium in third. Felipe Massa is fourth, and Sergio Perez is fifth. He's got his teammate right behind him there, Nico Hülkenberg. That's not a bad drive, considering the fact that he had engine trouble for, I think it was the last third of the race or something like that, but very impressive indeed. And Kevin Magnussen actually finishing in P7 there. That's pretty good too. Looking at the DNFs there, Gutierrez not finishing the race. Verlaine, Julian Palmer, he was pretty high up there into second at some point. Jenson Button not finishing. Both the McLarens out pretty quickly. And Sebastian Vettel and Nico Rosberg not finishing the race either. I would assume that these two guys actually had an altercation. I think Rosberg probably went out bumping into Vettel on the first lap. And then I think Vettel, he disappeared from the grid there. All of a sudden was out of the top 5. So I think he went in to repair some damage and then later just had to pull out of the race there. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Had a lot of fun here today. Be sure to check back soon. Bye-bye.